It's very possible that Ant-Man could be the second ever MCU hero to get his 4th movie. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. I am ranking all 3 Ant-Man movies today as Quantumania just hit theaters, and it's rather divisive. I mean, this movie is one of the lowest rated on Rotten Tomatoes in terms of the MCU. People either love this movie or hate it. If you want my 2 cents on it, I'm about to give you it, but also you can check out my spoiler review and my non-spoiler review. I will link those up above, and if you guys are watching this video, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'm trying to hit 71,000 subscribers here on the channel, so if you're not subscribed, it would mean the world if you guys hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, here is my ranking of the Ant-Man trilogy. Coming in dead last for me is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, I don't think this movie's terrible by any means. It has its fun moments. This whole entire movie, everyone is just chasing after one object. You know, Walton Goggins plays this agent character who is after the lab once it gets shrunk down. Ant-Man's after it, Wasp is after it, and then you've got Ghost in the picture as well, who is one of the more forgettable and just not really memorable MCU villains out there. The way that her story kind of wraps up never really did anything for me, and it just felt like useless in the end. You know, they tried to set her up to have this compelling backstory, and you can feel for her at times, but ultimately, pretty forgettable film. The highlights here, though, definitely Scott Lang being charismatic as always, and of course, Janet Van Dyne is introduced into the MCU in this movie. We get to see her and Hope's relationship expanded upon a bit, and I appreciate Janet even more after watching Quantumania. She had a great prominent role there, and it makes me appreciate her return in this movie even more. This movie has the Ant-Man humor that works. I mean, the funniest scene in arguably the entire trilogy is when Ant-Man is like medium-sized shrunken down, and he's just running around and hops into the back of the van, and, you know, Hank and Hope are just making fun of him like they're picking him up from school. That scene's always been hilarious to me, and like I mentioned, it has those sweet moments, especially when it comes to Cassie and Scott's relationship. It's developed here, even more so than in the first Ant-Man film, and you gotta love it. You know, Scott cares so much about his daughter. It is an integral part to his character and this trilogy. That's on full display in this movie. Obviously, we have Luis, Kurt, and the gang as well, having their little fun antics on the side, and this movie is fun. Now, is it one of the more rewatchable? Absolutely not. I still have my fun moments with it, and it has its highlights, though it is the weakest of the trilogy. But it might have the best post-credit scene of them all, as at the very end, Scott gets stuck down in the quantum realm, leading right into Avengers Endgame, and this was a nice change of pace coming off the heels of that dramatic ending where Thanos snapped away humanity and the Avengers at the end of Infinity War. But coming in second place for me in the Ant-Man trilogy is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which just hit theaters this weekend. Again, like I mentioned up front, one of the more divisive movies in the entire MCU. People either love this, think it's the worst movie of all time, or think it's just middle of the road. I myself have it fairly high on my MCU ranking. You can check that out. I'll link it up above. Quantumania is a movie that is just a blast. For me personally, I really felt the family dynamic here. It was at the core of the film. Scott was rekindling his relationship with Cassie because it was clearly established that, you know, during the blip, Scott wasn't there as a father for 5 whole years of her life. That is a tough pill to swallow. So they have a little bit of a rocky relationship that's established early on in this movie. But everyone's been talking about, you know, the elephant in the room here. It's Kang the Conqueror. He is the big bad new villain of the MCU, and he carries this movie. Jonathan Majors just has the commanding screen presence where whenever he delivers a line in this movie, everyone's just listening, waiting for his next move, and cannot wait to see more of him as we get further into the MCU, especially in Kang Dynasty, which may or may not be teased at a certain point in this movie. Everyone had a role here. We got more information on Janet here and what actually went down when she was in the quantum realm for all those years. Really made me appreciate her more as a character, but also Hank Pym had a really meaty role here. I won't spoil too much if you guys haven't seen it. Check out my spoiler review, but he has a few highlight moments where he comes in and like has the heroic like fist pump, yeah, crowd pleasing moment. So Hank had a great role here. I think Hope is actually the most sideline of the main, you know, family characters, but it is what it is. I really like the father-daughter relationship. The humor worked here for me. Obviously, the movie is goofy. All of these movies are. It's very self-aware of what it is. Not every joke lands for me, but it's very fun escapism into this visually wacky quantum realm, a setting that hasn't really been explored much in the MCU. So I dig the hell out of Quantumania. I don't get the massive amounts of over-hate that it is receiving, but again, to each their own. But coming in number 1 for me, my favorite in the Ant-Man trilogy is the first Ant-Man film. It just recently cracked into my top 10 overall favorite MCU movies. So again, check out that video. I will link it up above. But the first Ant-Man film is just so charming, and it was really unexpected for me. I mentioned this recently, but I saw the movie at the drive-in theater with zero expectations and walked out pleasantly surprised. Paul Rudd was able to carry this movie with his charisma. The jokes worked for me. It actually has a solid villain in Darren Cross as Yellow Jacket. I mean, he's understood, and I feel like he's evenly matched for Scott. And I just remembered this scene that no one talks about in Ant-Man. Sam Wilson makes an appearance in this movie, and he gets his ass kicked by Ant-Man, and he's like, "Don't tell Cap." It's one of the best moments that, you know, is called back to later when Civil War rolls around. But, you know, Ant-Man is fun, and that's really what this trilogy is all about. Having a little bit of some fun escapism into this wacky world where a man can communicate with ants and shrink down to the size of ants. A risk was taken by Marvel Studios with this movie, and I think it paid off because we have 3 Ant-Man movies now. This one really hits hard on the father-daughter relationship he has with Cassie, but also it's a heist movie. There's multiple moments where they pull off heists in this movie, or people are breaking in trying to steal something. It's got great tension. It teases what's to come within this Ant-Man trilogy. We also get a really nice backstory on Hank Pym out the gate with a de-aged Michael Douglas. And I have to mention the score here, like the main Ant-Man theme. It goes hard. It's a bop. If you go to Disneyland and you go to Avengers Campus, it'll just play every now and then. It's like dun 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 dun. Like, I really do enjoy this movie. It's just got the vibe. Ant-Man slaps, and Quantumania could make its way to #1 on this after some rewatches. Again, I've only seen that movie one time. I want to watch it a few more times, hopefully at least one more time in theaters, because I dug it. And honestly, this is a solid MCU trilogy. Probably going to be a quadrilogy in time, because I'm sure we're going to get a 4th Ant-Man film down the road. The only thing that's missing from this trilogy, and frankly the entire MCU right now, is another Luis recap that was just not present in Quantumania. I don't know why his character wasn't in the movie. I guess there probably, you know, wasn't any room for him, but I think it would have been cool to see like a variant of him down in the quantum realm. At some point though, I think that Marvel needs to just release, you know, the Luis cut of something where he recaps almost the entire MCU. That would be incredible. But what do you guys think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? Let me know in the comments down below, and definitely let me know your ranking of this trilogy. Again, mine is #3, Ant-Man and the Wasp. My runner-up is Quantumania, and my favorite is the OG Ant-Man. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, as I am trying to hit my goal of 71,000 subscribers here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you guys later.